In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, I am giving this talk out of pure fascination for a discovery. And I do not know what will be seen by the future or by God as right or wrong. But I just want to say I'm excited about sharing something as a human being I've seen. As if those human beings that speak around you, they've seen something that has found a moment worthy of even seeing if it can be shared. The subtitle, how this lecture, I will be giving a lecture. I want to explain how this lecture began taking shape in the speaker's eyes, in the speaker's mind. It started from the subtitle. I was gonna turn on the microphone and be like, our minds possessing souls, question mark, and give a lecture about that. But prior to that, I just had a moment where I truly came into a beautiful atmosphere of not doubt but curiosity for how am I actually being a being here, and what is the story actually, and what if everything we know and have heard has been inaccurate. I am consciously giving this lecture. That means, as far as the range of my consciousness goes, this world has a system admin beyond the world room. We are within a divine surveillance state, as I am giving this lecture. Simultaneously, there is different ways that reality is being. Some beings may access the sounds of what I'm saying, and some people may access the imagery that this lecture is hoping to provide. Life is, they say life is like very amazing and all that, and it is, but more than amazement, it's like organized as amazement that cares is like called fascination. And I am speaking out of fascination. Usually anything that fascinates me, I'm like, okay, let's bring it up. Anybody who comments, at least there's more insight into it. It's very difficult to explain exactly how my state of mind was when what I saw that I wanted to come and give a lecture. You see, the way when I give these lectures, how it works is it's usually with awareness to totality of vision and trying to reach an awareness of the context of reality. Most people live on the concept level. Most people conceptualize, they don't contextualize. They don't teach the children of this world to contextualize because they want them to be in a specific context, and it's not them. It's not like some people are sometimes, yo man, there's there's shadows behind the behind the scenes of reality, moving reality. And I'm like, guys, you don't get it. The system is so much more advanced, and going towards God is equivalent to coming into the presence of, see, I gotta contextualize this moment. I'm diving into the episode without really opening its hatch. Dear viewers, the title of the episode is that when I close, I am not on earth when I close my eyes. And when you hear that statement, the immediate question should be like, okay, how and where? Where are you then? And this is the most beautiful discussion that can be had among simulated beings. Where are we? Pretty much as I walk through this lecture and this sort of the ideas for this lecture, I am honestly in a moment where intelligence is being conscious of its own magnitude. When piloting this lecture, I gotta keep in mind, like at the end of this lecture, you should understand why I'm saying when I close my eyes, I'm not on Earth. And also, we should have this very deep view on, like, okay, oh my God, this is something every lecturer should do. I could revolutionize lecture giving right now. At the end of it, I kind of summarize the highlights of the lecture, like as if how I heard the lecture. Yeah, incredible. All right, let's dive into the lecture. Enough introducing you to it. I mean, like pretty much by this point, I'm a unique being, you're a unique being, you're listening to what I'm saying. The words I communicate, they are actually based on think of it, films behind my eyes. I'm that human being that figured out that the mind is endlessly generating content, right? And if you can actually comprehend its nature and master the craft of inner reality functioning, like don't think that human beings are just living physical lives. All of you behind your eyes have lived in so many ways you've lost count, because the nature of reality is, it is in some sense it's the presence of intelligence as it enters from a simulated nature into an original nature. I can totally fathom an advanced civilization where there is no death, and they're like, why? And we're like, it conceptually didn't make sense. And we're like, what do you mean? Death is when there's no longer the physical existence is no longer in the space-time continuum. And I'm like, it's very difficult to say that so many people here believe their souls, yet they are living for their body. Do you understand? And I'm not telling you this requires a sort of extreme ascetic response, like in a, you know, Gautama, how Gautama saw it. I am fascinated to share with you that just this moment in my life is so surreal because I have managed to expand the context of the simulated reality. You know, there's two approaches. There is one approach is um, reality is a failed simulation. It's like kind of like in business, right? Elon was pointing this out. I'm just gonna call people by their first names. Yeah. All right. Sorry, guys. It takes energy to talk, and sometimes I'm like, where am I? How can I further the moment? I don't know what story you're telling yourself about reality, whoever you are listening. I'm just a being here on planet Earth in human history. I'm not even, at this point I am just not no longer fascinated by whatever archetype I fit in for the masses, right? Like we've reached that point in life where I was trying to do this side global project, and on some level I don't know. But okay, I'm drifting. I'll tell you what I was saying earlier. In the same way a person can run a business, for example, as Elon was saying, and he's like, yo, you can run a business, you can have like hope and endless like assumption of like value, or you can assume your business is gonna fail so you can relax. You're like, oh man, it's gonna fail. But Elon was like, how do I reduce its percentage of failure? And I can totally understand that there are so many souls on the earth right now that feel they don't belong here, but they got to figure something out here. I'm telling you, we all do. And the simple answer is because our minds are more evolved than the outer realms. So in the same way, you're like, yo, man, all right, I'm going to reduce the percentage of failure, rather than like never believe in failure. The notion, what I'm trying to say is from the from the view I see it, it's like I'm like, okay, I either look at this world and it's a meaningless simulation and I try to reduce the percentage of its meaninglessness every day. That's what really searching for truth is. All right, let's go old school. This song I'm playing, guys, just so you know, was one of the songs I would play early on when I started giving the lectures. Or we can have this view that no, everything is true every day, and we're just gonna, in some sense, try to reduce the percentage of change. Look at it this way. I'm pretty much that human being like, guys, there's 8 billion of us here. We can all look at the life and be like, guys, this is truth. And then try to get scared and harassed by any time we find something that's simulated. So you have an option of looking at this life like everything is true, yo. And then anytime you notice something simulated, you get scared. Or you have an option of being like, okay, let's see it the other way around. It's all simulated. It's a simulated reality. And what does that mean? That means simulations are not just randomly, collectively intelligent, but all simulations start from a singular intelligent point. That means you are not just in a world that is a noun. You are in the presence of something that I don't know if we can even call it a world where we are. It's like in the presence of multiple, it's like all the lives that ever were are alive in the same moment that all the other lives are. I don't know how to explain it to you, the double-edged nature, because some things go like, I'm someone who, I'll give you an example. I'll tell you exactly who I am, right? Like the archetype I've been living through. You know how there's some people who go into the Amazonian jungles, right? Sorry, not Amazon. They go to the Amazons or something, right? And they're like, I heard this story. Like there was this guy who he was searching for giant snakes, right? And then at night, this dude sees the biggest snake he's ever seen in his life just pass through the water, and he jumps and grabs the tail of this giant snake, okay? And then when before his how he's helped the snake becomes force, right? He in some sense lets go of the snake and just feels the scales of the snake as it passes by. And I was like, oh my God, there are like people in the outer realms that are living next level lives. Like applause from the distance, for you. Do you know? But what I'm telling you is like, I am the equivalent to that when it has come to the nature of mind. They're like, how much do you have to say about the body? I'm like, I'm not a doctor, man. Leave me alone. All right. What inspires me to move my attention in any way at all right now? What is the value of even noticing 8 billion human beings, on in a planetary system? Like sometimes you gotta admit, energy just wants to be energized. I think deep down, every soul would, in an instant. That means, imagine if aliens landed from the future, they came to Earth, and they're like, "Hey, humans," right? And humans are like, "Yo, what are you guys doing here?" And they're like, "We've brought these stones, that giant stones we're gonna place on like all over your planet, right? These glowing stones, and anybody who touches it becomes energized, but our presence gets to know your consciousness, right?" And it's as if that it would be that moment where we'd be like, thanks for the gift, and the moment the aliens leave, we throw those stones back into space. But what I'm telling you, it's just a matter of what world do you walk in. I once had this bizarre dream where, how do I tell you? It was as if like anytime you fast forward life cycles, you may think it's a past life. It's very difficult to say if people really have past life experiences on planet Earth, or they are beginning to realize that in the deeper structure and workings of reality, what is actually governing the mind is not limited to the mind. Okay? The intelligence that moves the mind, that is being you right now, it's not just limited to you. It has been commanded into position here by the system admin of this existential simulation we're in. Okay? And when I tell you, when I close my eyes, I'm not on Earth, because there was a moment where I just, honestly, you can even do it now, right now, even as I'm talking, I've just closed my eyes, and I am telling you, my body and the awareness to the information that my body is, I'm like, okay, I saw it. I saw my body existing, right? And my eyes are closed now. But what am I noticing behind my eyes? I am trying to explain to you that prior to giving this lecture, I just had a moment where I experienced like, it was like for a second, I was like, what part of me owns me? What aspect of me owns me? Like, I don't say I'm my right hand, I'm my whole body right now. Do you know? And I was like, how is it that different compartments of reality, do you know, are guiding like, do you understand? And it was like this moment where I'm like, wait a minute, if I just pay attention to love and I don't pay attention to hate, it's as if like, is the meaning of life about getting to truly see it, which that is the greatest blessing. They're like, some people are like, the greatest blessing is money. You know, money is a blessing where if the system admin truly wants a soul to live freely in this realm, I guess that is the road. But I'm telling you, the system itself is flawed. And I want you to think that you're in this giant spaceship that is planet sized and everybody's crew members, but unfortunately, there's different classes of crew members. Okay? And there is like, people like, Elon Musk existing on the planet right now, and there were people like Mother Teresa that existed on the planet. Now, people are like, Mr. Within, are you comparing Mother Teresa to, Elon Musk? I'm just saying, look at the contrast and the spectrum of how every human being that has ever lived on this planet has just been the display of a protocol of intelligence. And on some level, it's like, yes, we do want to fit in. We want everybody to be happy all the time. But excuse me, a civilization has to advance. And what does advancement mean? One thing for certain that advancement means, it is change. And this is what they don't tell you. Anybody who, like, we're reaching an era where it's hard to have an ego. They're like, yo, man, why aren't you like selfish and arrogant and power hungry? And just like, why do you even have ethics in this, like, corrupt world? Do you know? And it's like, excuse me, am I, it's all about what am I in the presence of? I am not in the presence of humans right now, just humans. I'm not giving this talk in the presence of just me as, all right, this human podcaster said something to all these listeners, and then what did the listeners do? And was it just a pleasant moment? Or was there in some sense a sort of, as if you from the do you know what it is? I honestly feel like I'm that soul in history who all the souls are kind of like, trying to get comfortable on the planet, and I'm like marching. It's like, okay, imagine it's like if we were all soldiers in an army of souls. Like, I'm that soldier who's picked up a sword, shouted something, and is running just towards the field. Do you understand? That means there was no, just, this lifetime was all the time I had as a being present in reality to share how far I could see. To me, if they were like, yo, give a metaphor, the metaphor of how far I see, it's like something, to be honest, I think the last thing I'll try to do, is reach for the sky. That is it. The sky is the key. Do you understand? That means the whole human function is going in accordance to known and unknown, this masquerade of human psychological ideological storytelling simulations just going on and on. Like, I just called it the linguistic simulation, and I'm like, yo, just trying to make sure people who at least listen to this, I assume it this way. I think they said people gravitate to the frequency they're at. If I don't have listeners right now, that means there isn't beings or souls in of that frequency. That would be an explanation of it, actually. Yeah, that would be a total interesting explanation of it. The greatest question: why has life brought you to this moment? I hope I remember to make that into a lecture. Why has life brought you to this moment? It's like I have two files open and I gotta kind of like organize them. The point I'm trying to make about when I close my eyes, I'm not on Earth, is a matter of trying to take the average human attention into wondering about the depth of reality, wondering about it's not about just understanding what concepts are. It's not, that's not just it. It's about how concepts are within a context and there's different intelligences to these contexts. I don't know how else to say it. Like at some point you just look at this life and you're like, yo man, I've had so many thoughts and dreams and ideas and visions. Like my mind has attempted just to see if it can do it in the privacy of itself and the system admin, just to see if I can, how far I can see into the future. And when you truly go beyond any aspect of this simulation, right, you begin to understand that it's not natural law anymore. That means the higher planes are not nature's law. That means the way the system is not the authorization of the system. You have to consider it this way, that to be born as a human is like, the moment itself was like, here, consciousness, you're gonna you're gonna have some association with animal, trying to live on an animal on this planet, and you have some association with noticing that you have come from a higher place and you are in some sense a superior entity than the current output of the species. It's always about the depth of reality. Why has my moment brought me here? What do I find in these two lenses placed in front of me? From one angle, yes, is it true that we're not on Earth when we close our eyes? But when we close our eyes, the strange thing is that we can see. Anybody right now, you want me to just kind of be playful and be like, just point out your third eye? You're going to laugh when I tell you. Okay, just close your eyes and I'm going to tell you, like, visualize, like, I don't know, visualize like an apple, hovering in the air. And when you visualize an apple hovering in the air, like anyone who's managed to close their eyes and visualize it, well, guess what? You're seeing that and your eyes are closed. There's no light entering it. So that's kind of like the third eye. The third eye is just people were like, we're aware that we're thinking here. You know? It's the awareness to how thought infuses with the human being. That means, like, sometimes, when, like, how do I say it? Sometimes life might have blessed you, and wow, gratefulness has such depth. There's so much to be fascinated about, really. I am, like, very abundant in if fascination was wealth, like, guys, like, I'm waiting for that day where the legend of, like, that rich guy, and it's simply termed that rich guy, right? And that rich guy appears who conquers everybody. Do you understand? That means there comes this one human being who just owns everything. And then this human being's like, I'm bored with how underdeveloped the civilization is. And then we're like, it was a checkmate. The idea of the advanced civilization was a kind of like a checkmate, thrown at, just the system. Because to be honest, all of us wonder. about the future. That means I'm like, what's on everybody's bucket list to just think about their future? I'm gonna go to the second part pretty much. Our minds possessing souls. See, usually we have the idea like a spirit possesses someone, right? But for me, because I'm a designer, I think it's very complex for anything to interact with me. Because it's a matter of what designing like see for me, sure, you can divide like psychology into just human archetypes. And this is where the red line of a mad scientist comes or not, but there's no such thing as a mad philosopher because philosophy was about the unknown. Do you know that means? Like, what it like? What I'm trying to tell you, whole point of it is, I'm treating this reality as if it's a simulation, and I'm wondering about how is it being simulated. And then I've just found myself in a moment just prior to this lecture where I was just like, hold on, is the idea of me owning my soul? That means when I say I'm my name, have I reduced all my being to those letters? Or in another case, to those realities? Is it wrong to be fascinated about how meaningless meaning is and how meaningful the meaningless is? Because how is the content even there? We are not in a contentless world. We are in a realm that is displaying activity. And we organize the activity, and because we do it, we call it human intelligence. This notion of spirit, soul, and all of this, like, I don't know, but there's this illuminationist context to it where they're like, where pretty much they're like, what you think is thinking to some old school people was like, that's your spirit. Okay, so when you see somebody's like jumping up and down and somebody's just shy in the corner, that means some being's spirit is internally active, and that the other being's spirit is externally active. Do you know what I'm saying? And so they saw that the spirit was the shadow of the soul. The spirit did not equal the soul. It was the soul's expression. Do you understand? Right? And then they had this view that the soul was the shadow of God. And to make this even more modern, it's kind of following the pattern of like your body is the shadow of your mind is a shadow of your soul, your soul is a shadow of the system admin. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like at some point you're beginning to realize that yes, it is this administrative force. There is like a whole system administrative force here. How do I say it? Like it's here. It has nothing to do with human beings. It's the intelligence in the realm. Just the traditional natives were like, yo, man, there's a spirit to nature. I'm like, there's more than that. You know? It's like, yo, man, would I get along with like, you know? I'm like, as far as I see all of human knowledge simulated in an unknown space, and we're actors in some sense, having to maintain routines to have a sort of stable identity, to even have emotion center around, and really, at the depth of what is going on this planet, it's as if like, yo, man, Nobody knows who they are, and I'm giving lectures over here. No being truly at their core knows exactly what's going on, because you have to ask yourself, what if it surpasses conceptual, ideological, and linguistic modes? It's like, by the way, I think I should start recommending people should listen to these lectures, like I think in privacy, or I guess with people whose souls you truly know, right? But I'm saying, like, listen to these lectures alone and select, like, just, I don't know, the titles kind of call out to each individual. It's a matter of some dude freaking out that reality is a simulation, trying to give a lecture on this. But my heart is at the frontiers of how everything we ever do is known to us in a human value, but beyond that, its value is unknown. That means this is the magnificence of the soul. The soul is the creation of God, and how God creates things is God commands them. God is the system admin. The whole thing with, like, polytheism being an error, and only a singular moment beyond reality could be the ultimate value. That means we're in this world that's kind of like between a worse and better place. I think it's more like an airport between realms. I think the most advanced spiritual view would be like, guys, we're not just bodies, we're not just minds with, egoic identities. This whole time, this planet has been a spiritual airport. I'm joking. Let me tell you, in reality, it's all about being conscious of the system admin's presence. That's the greatest value, I think. Um, that means there's some people who are like, yo, man, should I do something that is right or wrong? And there's some people who are like, if a higher being that is the ultimatum of reality was watching me right now, what would be the first, like, action? And the first action is always honesty. In the presence of higher realms, you cannot, no illusion can just enter. Do you know? So we have to be honest in our dealings with reality. This is the most important thing. And in that honesty, we truly say, like, yo, there's a fascinating thing about how the body, mind, and soul are kind of like a trio. They're like three corners to a realm. Okay? Do you know? It's like if the outer realms were a square, the mind is kind of like a trio. Okay? That means consciousness has strangely, at least it can be seen like this. Okay? It can be. Doesn't mean it has to be. But I'm saying it's like one corner of reality is human consciousness, one corner of reality is world consciousness, and other point of reality is system admin consciousness. To be conscious of the system admin, that means, do you understand? It's like to be religious. They're like, why are religious people like the sincere ones, not the deceptive ones? Do you know? The God-fearing ones, which means, like, you gotta be honest. That means the moment I realize it's a divine surveillance state, we're in the attention of the higher power. So on some level, you're like, okay, no more lies. So what the truth of it is, like, as I've been saying, just the curiosity of how a moment of presence can wonder, am I the body? Am I just my external manifestation? Am I just this force that is maneuvering and navigating into like some intelligent rhythm is like something is happening behind my eyes, that these words are in some sense finding this moment, right? And when I wonder about, okay, so what's the destiny of my body? I saw that. Okay, so what's the destiny of my mind? The destiny of my mind is to fulfill its service, and once that's done, I'm like, okay, what is the destiny of the future's destiny? And it's like at some point you reach this realization, consciousness was from an original signal, the echoing simulations of it, and yet the simulation is following the geometry of the original signal. That means in the middle of all the people, like, being on TikTok, ancient scholars have tried their hardest to kind of just put, like, somehow make sure the messages in the bottles get to humanity. And one of them that succeeded, in honor of the divine admin's mercy, this triangular relationship can also be seen in regards to like solid, liquid, gas, but like body, mind, and soul. And it's as if the moment suddenly becomes aware that, just like, again, I don't say like one part of my body's like my whole body, right? Or like, how do I say it? It's like my right hand is actually my whole body being one being, right? So I'm saying on some level, to me, it's very fascinating. In the name of God, may God bless this moment. One path is to wonder that if we identify as an ego and idea, the mind has possessed the soul. If we identify as just this witnessing force, life force, it's as if we are not just limited to the idea. So I'm saying it's like the same time I'm being my body is the same time I'm being the idea of me, and it's the same time I'm being aware of all of this happening and wondering how every concept that I have ever become conscious of in this reality has been watched internally, and it's an unknown witness. The Holy Quran confirms that the soul is unknowable. That means it's not about what is truth made of. Like, that's not the question. It's a matter of what is the command of the soul in this moment, and how is it occurring and being, and why in this moment exactly in human history intelligence moves in any way at all. That means what is pulling the intelligence of a human being to wonder about all the views they have not seen. That means what is life? Every day you wake up and you climb out of simulations of ignorance. Every day you wake up and you're like, yo man, the world's starting to look the same as yesterday. And you wonder about the depths of how reality actually is present. Because to be honest, knowledge is about like, have you ever wondered about what's going on here? Like any talk I give, any lecture I give, I'm like, yo guys, I was nervous, let's say, when I gave a lecture, and they're like, yo, why were you nervous? And I'm like, guys, whatever, man. The whole point of the lecture was like, what are we all doing here? right? And why 8 billion human beings right now exist in human history. And these 8 billion human beings have viewpoints, have access to ways reality means something to them. And it's as if these views are so unique that it's like everybody is the torchbearer of how their DNA has manifested at anything at all. That means like we're slow hand clapping how biology got to psychology. We're slow hand clapping how psychology could somehow wake up from the dream of the ego and awaken to a realm where reality is actually, when you become honest, you see the whole point. The protocol is this: you open your eyes in a simulation. What do? You wonder about the original presence of reality. You wonder, truly, am I inside a simulation right now? Or is there something connected to this moment that cannot be simulated? And you begin to notice that there has always been this like strange, like additional witness. I shouldn't say additional, but there has been like this witnessing. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like if we were to give an idea to this force that moves a biological body, that force is has access to the whole awareness of the moment. That means what reality actually is, how it is all unfolding. Human beings, being born, being like, what is truth and what, before they get an answer, in some sense, the past failed the future. Not at all. It's mightier, grander. I'm like that character in a story who's like, guys, we obviously can in every moment see God's handwriting happening. So, and at the same time, it's this, like, how do I tell you? Humans can't conceptualize God because to be human is to contain a certain range. That means I could totally understand. Imagine somebody in the future comes and says, Mr. Within, you're not human. And I'll be like, I'll first try to understand why the person's saying that, but I'll tell you, let me tell you, like from one angle, I don't blame you because I have noticed beyond the human concept. Okay, but from another angle, I was human from the beginning. That means you're telling a being that who's trying to see beyond the humanity his whole life. It's like you're wondering if that's human. The point of it is something deeper. The point of it is, first, whose world are we in? Are we in my world, your world? Are we in like some Godfather universe where egos are like, yeah, show me respect, and the other egos like, show me respect, and it's the battle of like blind worlds, colliding like, giraffe necks. So think of it this way. There's these three angles to the moment. We have body, we have mind, and we have soul. The body is the objective universe, the mind is the subjective universe, and the soul is the awareness that is actually the one who's looking at everything. Do you understand? That means at some point they're like, yo man, a creature got more information. Is it still the same creature? And the question is that you're asking, like, let me tell you, you cannot question conceptualization when all concepts have appeared in the presence of nowhere first. They're like, what's the first concept? That there wasn't one. But then divine concepts activate contexts of envisionment. I'm trying to explain to you that as one human, as whatever true intelligence is looking through my eyes, whatever this is, whatever destiny it has, there's an honor to the moment, and the world has seen our efforts. It's like my whole life, I'm like, yo man, they told me follow your dreams, and I'm like, wait a minute. To follow one's dream could be meaningless when we need to wake up from it. The person like looks in the mirror, fixes their tie, and they're like, I built $1 trillion business, you know, and I broke, the record. Imagine there's someone like that. That person's gonna be like, okay, when you have everything of something, that something has no value, in the same sense where what we have has no value compared to what we can get. How fascinated are we by reality? How far can it all go? If I identify as my body, has matter possessed the soul? If I identify my mind, has my soul been chained by ideas? If I identify as the soul, have I been changed as an unknown witness by the will of the system admin? And at some point you're like, yo, what is truth waiting for? What is truth waiting for? The soul is looking at reality and being like, man, it's like you gotta act in accordance to how others are acting, so others don't freak out and the mob robots doesn't come out, do you know? Some people look at Mother Teresa and they're like, they just see a compassionate woman. I see a time traveler. I see like a caring time traveler from the future being like, doesn't matter. Just help the moment advance. Preserve the opportunity of advancement. They're like, yo man, human beings suddenly united under the notion of a advanced human kingdom, and somehow it worked, and people were fascinated and shocked, and just it was next level, and they actually came to figure out how that happened, and they were like, we just realized we all serve our futures, and the future belongs to all those who will arrive. That means it's like structuring human civilization. They're like, yo, what does it mean to be human? That means anyone who's born human, right? It's like, what does it mean to be human? That means you are present in the kingdom of humanity, and among all species your might is known. But you must now know the might of the system admin that transcends your world. Do you understand? That means we've reached in 2025. See, every you know how every generation has like street smart kids, do you know, that are enjoying the moment in more advanced ways than others? I'm saying like it happens in the way where that's not just generations, it is like centuries. There are forces working through all of us that all are how the world is being administered. I'm trying to tell you that I am not on earth when I close my eyes, and even in front of it, let me tell you why. Because earth is how our ancestors freaked out and they gave everything a name. It's like somebody asks you, where are we? I don't know, man. Let's call it earth. Because it's a sound I can make, you know? No, but to be honest, it's an advanced system. I'm not, see, like when you look at things from the past, everything's a blessing and advanced. But when you look at things when the future, a part of you's like, yo, man, the only delight left for an intelligent being on this planet is to just see next level advancement that is so win-win in all dimensions. That means right now, I don't know, but in 2025, if I had like A newspaper agency, I just printed in that news, like honest news. We're in a simulation, guys. Everything's simulated. Do you understand? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start a media company. That's exactly what I need to do. And then I need to wear a ring every day. And then live out the Godfather movie. No, I'm kidding. Never. I'm just at this point in not just my life and being a human being. That we are in the same time we're present on what we call Earth, it's at the same time being an unknown world, and an unknown world at the same time is being supremely administered by a creator point or a causal point to that reality. That means it's like, yo man, what does the human being have access to? To the created and the creator. Simple as that. This is what we would teach kids in an advanced civilization. That, all right, what are the values that human beings are living for? You know, that means imagine somebody's living doing something wrong and a child sees that and the parent's like, child, do you understand what you're seeing? Do you know what I mean? And the parent explains to the child that it's all about value systems and levels of ignorance or uniqueness of lives. You know? Whatever the path, it goes forth. Everything that has been simulated returns to the original power. So the point of life is to notice this original power, establish a relationship, not a mind forged, so it's only gifted. I'm trying to say, like, my channel is called Mr.Within's Gift, but it's in the domain of language and mind. If you truly want to find value in this life, just forget everything, start from scratch, and wonder how the argument of the advanced civilization is not the, like, it's the greatest idea on earth for humans in the human in the human range. In the presence of the divine, the greatest thing a human being can do is to be aware. Because that is the value of being alive. You're being alive because life force is like, hey, you don't have an Iron Man suit, but you have an existential suit as a force in this reality. That means you exist here. You are human. We're all human. If like a bunch of aliens came down on Earth and they were peaceful and didn't say anything and started living on Earth, we'd be like, okay. We'd be like, guys, just give all your money to Elon Musk. Just, you know, start building Mars, bro. You know, and Elon Musk is like, I've already done that. We're also building Eureka right now. We're like, oh, that's probably a lie. And he's like, no, believe me. The might of the human species in the presence of the greatest position of conception. I am simply saying that to be human is like learning a language. It's to be a certain organized range of manifestation. I'm not saying you're not human, but I'm saying that we have to honor the human species. So all our efforts were like, yo, man, what would everybody do if they were all geniuses? The most genius thing is to build such an advanced civilization that there are no problems and all human ability goes on to creativity. That means in the future, they're gonna, like, wealth is gonna go to those who have fascination, and that's a healthy economical system. There's going to be advanced research stations everywhere, accessible at any time. Do you know what that means? That means imagine they made a show, some soul that was born as a child in like poverty conditions, made it to the modern world, and the moment he entered the modern world, he saw advanced research stations everywhere, and he saw human beings had such elegant and advanced, and in some sense, how do I tell you? It's like the precision of, I don't know how to say it. Sometimes my mind, when I'm giving these lectures, in my mind, it's like I'm seeing a battle scene. I'm seeing every idea I've ever known, fighting the soul being like, what else is there, and just witnessing what else there is to reality. Because there's conceptual exploration, which means that you wonder about, okay, so how am I containing, just like in the same way I maintain my biological body, like you survive as a biological entity. Similarly, what is the operating system to your mind, to your, how is the mind operating as a operating system for your body? And when you wonder about what the mind is, this is where responsibility for your own soul arises. That means some beings, you look at them, they're like, wow, what a responsible mind. Some beings, you look at them, what a responsible body. Some beings, you look at them, what a responsible soul. And at the end of the day, we're all in this like film that just goes on, right? And the whole point of it is to just be like, yo, man, I have something in common. If right now, imagine 8 billion people were hearing this, I'm just going to imagine that. What I have in common with all of you is that when I wonder about the future, because I can fathom, because I just look at a system and I'm like, yo, man, if I'm in a simulation, if I'm in a system, we have to quickly figure out and update this like first prototype of a civilization system we're in, right? And in some sense, advanced civilization in ways that nobody thought. That means you see right now the way the human species is functioning, the whole, I would say, let's say there was a sort of, this is abstract, guys, the unseen, only God knows. But I'm saying like, we're just wondering and fathoming in regards to the capabilities of vision, inner vision. And I'm saying, imagine, oh man, the image left. I'm saying, imagine the moment is present in ways where it's not like, it's like this very deep question of like, all right, is my body being my mind right now? And is my mind being my body right now? Is my mind and body being my soul right now? Is my soul what moves my mind and body? What is the soul? Do you know, and imagine there was like soul jazz music playing right now. It is to truly wonder in the presence of an unknown world. Were you honest enough to realize you're an unknown being? And were you honest enough to realize that we not only have to care for what all of our ancestors have done, we have to build such an advanced civilization that all our ancestors are like, yo, we didn't think our descendants were like that genius. I'm telling you, an advanced civilization is like, yo, man, chaos and order are fighting there. It's like, stop it, build an advanced civilization, then fight an advanced. I laugh, but in reality, chaos and order are loops. An advanced civilization has access to all possible ranges of reality, because what is the human being? I saw something, I experienced something, so I think I am that now. Okay, like that's the like common human view. Okay. But in reality, what you are is like, no, there is this awareness that it all begins from. And it's like the moment I open my eyes in the morning, I am the awareness of a certain range and sector of the space-time continuum in my awareness. That means I have a glow. I like every soul, every person that like if how do I say it? Like we are beings that in the darkness of the cosmos have a divine system admin glow. Okay, there's something about every human soul that the whole point of sin, suffering, and chaos, and just all this unnecessary stuff that's happening on earth, right, is simply because it's a necessity for that to happen. So we wonder about what's beyond it. That means there were some people who, the prophet came and said there is a God beyond all conception, all form, and its attributes are endless, and people were like, "Wow." It's as if, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, entered this world, and when he left, he had in some sense not only made Abraham's dream come true, but in Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, but in some sense he brought the conclusion of the soul. There's nothing more superior than that, and that was pointing out that truth is beyond this simulated reality. And while you're in this simulated reality, you're being actually tested on how honestly you actually wondered about how it's all here. And really, it's not about like any sentence somebody can say that changes your life. Your inner vision sees something further and there. Sometimes like they're like, how do you what's the future? The future is where we're all going. Our future selves are who we will be. Like who I am today, this is like the last recording of it ever. And then tomorrow a different, attention to reality arises. And I've reached that very fascinating kind of like, wow, I don't know, is it my body that is possessing like my mind? Is my mind possessing body? And I'm like, okay, let me just relax with the possessing verb and be like, these are intelligence. So there's an intelligence that is biological, right? So there's a biological intelligence, right? That's part of our being. We can conclude that. Then the question is like, all right, what other intelligence do we find in the moment? Okay, there's like physical activity, how existence can not just exist in one moment, but can move between moments. Okay, and then we can continuously wonder about the depth of intelligence in the moment, and you will discover your own limits. And you're going to be like, wow, man, you explained that smoothly. Because that's the whole point. I am not denying the emotional realities where souls have found comfort in. I'm saying, guys, 8 billion human beings on Earth. Imagine we got bored of it looping and we were like, yo, like this Mr. Within guy saying build an advanced civilization. He's got a point. And the point of it is that everything we see, like any time in a civilization, science fiction becomes way more fascinating. Like anything other than their daily life becomes fascinating. That's when like suddenly, like a species mind is moving faster than its body. We are 8 billion minds that are moving way faster than our body. It's kind of scary, actually. I don't know how physicists do it. I think being a physicist is like you gotta be ready for existential horror. Because at what point does intelligence correlate to form? And whatever people see, I have access to what I know, and what I know is that we're in a commanded world right now. And you're going to be like, what do you mean commanded world? Is this a movie to you? And I'll be like, no, but yes, in the sense that it's a commanded universe, in the sense that before me and you existed, it had design. That design was placed. They're like, yo, man, I don't know what created the human being, but it's too advanced, yo. Like, its design is too unique. A wild animal putting on clothes and podcasting seems to be the most, like, one of the most advanced things you can do on Earth, no? What are we? What beings that just want to share what we see so we're not just in our own simulation? That's like when I look at the human species, I'm like, oh man, it's probably the future generations. That means if somebody looks at all the people alive in 2025, we're like, what's the best thing they can do if they were history conscious, if they were future conscious? The greatest thing that any human being can do is that tomorrow when they wake up, everything they do, not that they need to act in accordance to it yet, but just wonder about, okay, this podcaster named Mr. Within said, in every moment, wonder about what's the most advanced view of this moment. And some beings, after having that view for some time, because they're fascinated that nobody knows where we are inside an ideological simulation that we've all just played along with, recently I have just been wondering about the mystery levels of reality. I'm like, all right, man, you're being some sort of being here. What is the value to being here? How far can we see? In front of our eyes, we cannot float, but behind our eyes, moments can be, in some sense, re-simulated. So right now, I can think like I'm the soul and I'm the truth and everything is a true value, or I can think like, no, my body was simulated, my environment was simulated, the language that everybody learns was simulated. So right now, I'm in a very simulated place. We're in simulation land, folks. You know, and so from that viewpoint, it would not be something of like, yo, man, like what can an honest simulated being do? Just be simulated? And where like an honest simulated being would notice that the system admin has created, given us, the human species, a privilege. We can always call upon it. That means, I don't know, but I'm telling you, there is power to presence, and the greatest. Like, if you tell me who the strongest beings are on planet Earth, I would say spiritually, it's those who've lived honestly. That's it. That's your power level. How honestly you've been living. What values, what context to reality have you've had, and what decisions have formed, and what you truly care about, and how do you solve the problems that, in some sense, like sometimes I look at this. Like one thing I'll tell you, this is something personal I'm sharing, but since my childhood, I've always had this view of like, I don't know if the OCD began from this, but it's like the concept of the perfect seemed had to be accessible to man when I was younger. Like when I thought about God and divinity when I was young, it was ultimate perfection. And it's like trying to be a perfectionist, but not in the outer realms, because the outer realms, its perfectionism is actually in its wilderness. Do you know? But in the inner realms, it's civility, civilize. It's a civilization zone, civilizational zone. My ultimate conclusion, they're like, yo, man, if you had power in this world, what would you do? Would you keep podcasting? And I would be like, guys, if I had power in this world, like if somebody was like, yo, man, here, I'll give you ultimate power, like external reality power. Imagine somebody offered it, or I got a lottery ticket, or something, do you know? Even though I won't, probably. But I'm telling you, like, if I suddenly somebody was like, here, man, here's a gift, you know, from an unknown trillionaire. And it's like in that moment, you just look at reality, and a part of you has to ask, it's not about having power, it is about who will I be when I have power. And what life has been, just like the body grows and the cells replace, every person behind their eyes is an unknown going forth witnessing force that is noticing all the values it can to its range of mind and then deciding. So at some point you'll understand in what's where in the inner realms I'm standing and being like, yo guys, like, okay, if we actually want to live a serious life on Earth, what does that mean? We got to be serious about, like, what does Earth mean? What are all these human beings doing? What are the value systems that are guiding them? And how many human beings are living original lives? And how much of reality is actually simulated? There should be simulation studies and reality studies, and all knowledge could just stem out from these, and everybody's going to be like, okay, we can breathe now. It's like, first thing, if somebody offered me ultimate power in the outer realms that's not from God, I would look at God and just for a moment be like, is this from God or not? And I would ask why it's being given. And then the answer I would know probably by now. But in actuality, the soul, like, I don't know, I think at some point, just like how Goku's hair color changed as a human being living on Earth, like your awareness, the range of your awareness changes. And you begin to realize every human being is just an intelligent organism functioning. And we've playing along in this, like, and it's important, like we got to keep the illusion alive for our kids, so when they freak out, they're like, our parents were trying to, like, at least, you know explore who we were before the world told us to, because that's the nature of a simulated reality. They're like, yo, man, don't run so fast towards ultimate knowledge. And I'm like, I'm not running, I'm just asking, like, where are we? I'll say it this way. It's like, this is very fascinating if I can pull this off and say it. It's like, in this moment, my there is my body's life. Simultaneously, there is my mind's life, which is the idea of me I associate as in a world where everybody's an idea. And then there is that awareness to the whole moment. It's as if it's not just God watching us, existence itself is watching us. They're like, what do you mean? You mean the trees can see us? I'm like, no, everything that exists is aware it is existing. But if that awareness requires to be active or not is based on divine command. They've conditioned the human species to comprehend reality only limited to natural laws. But on some deep level, the whole construct of the human idea is the realization that it's a strategy response to the unknown. So, pretty much what knowledge is, guys, the other side of the coin of it is how the human species in history has been trying to deal with the unknown. They're like, what great secret hides behind, doors that should be open to us? I'm like, guys, relax. You are in the presence of the ultimate, but your mind that is conscious of the world where it extracts its identity of attention association is simulated. And it's like a soul coming into terms with the realization that it's seated in a body, but the meaning of everything and everybody is simulated. We're in just honestly simulation land. The inner realms is the realization of that. It's the overlaying. It's like, yo, man, what is the human brain doing? Oh, no way. It's creating a subjective model replica of reality and realizing it can endlessly rebuild it. Like having a mind is like having your private inventor's studio, you know? And to be honest, the context of reality is the mystery of it all. I feel I have shared what I can. But what you can do is wander beyond and realize the beyond has an owner. That means they're like, yo, man, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, couple points. We're conscious of the simulation. What does that mean? What does that mean that we're conscious of the simulation of existence? Attention not only seeks to update value, but considers itself as. It's like the argument, it's like, who are you? I'm my like name and my identity. And they're like, okay, what is your identity? My identity is in some sense like a sort of backstory to me as a being, right? And they're like, okay, what else is I'm trying to say at some point I hope they just put the word advanced in front of every course that has ever been made, and they're like, all right, this is the next advanced update course, right? We are all wondering about the advance. It like called it Mr. Within's advancement principle. Every moment has a hidden genius view, and the most advanced way it can happen, and the most advanced way it can happen is not devoid that it is not the main character, the system admin is. A religious person is not living in their own world. Their own world has been submitted in exchange for being present in a world where truth truly either is really here for you or not. And I'm one of those human beings that I'm like, okay, yeah, I've 100% experienced the presence of the system admin in this reality. I was legit hit by a car in Dubai, and I fell and I was bleeding, but nothing, no bone or anything was broken. And I was like, how is that even possible? Right? And it was like me and everybody there were just shocked. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, okay, the system admin, has work for me still in this reality. That means my life is not like, yo, man, what's my dream? I'm like, okay, how is the moment being powered? How is it being empowered? How is it animating? Based on what command? How much of life has to align with my will, and how much does my will have to align with what actually reality is? It is in some sense a sort of simulated. Think of it this way. We're covering our eyes, we open our eyes, we see this world, we can't see its edge. And because we can't see its edge, we can't really define it, but we got to tell people something. So you're in human civilization, right? But really, what it is at its core is that there's like an unknown dimension. That means everything you've ever seen has had unknown angles to it. That means right now I'm giving this talk, like there's 100% so many different ways I could have given this talk. And even among them, the most advanced. Like the first thing I would do if I was a professor in a university is I would have all students in some sense be placed in a ranking system, but before they're ranked, imagine. So every person's given a rank, but the rank is not shown yet. And I'd be like, you all get to ask one question, and your rank will be judged based on your question, you know? To be honest, it's about the vision of the soul. What are we all doing here? We're trying to build an advanced civilization somehow. There's like people on cooking shows, and we're like, yo, man, are those people, is that, old lady in a cooking show, like making like next level food? Like, is she advancing civilization? And I'm like, listen, man, it's like, it's what life force does. Okay, when life force is. I feel like I created an eternal cultural being, you know. It's like, hey man, life force does what life force has to, all right? But I'm not, but what I mean by that actually is from a metaphysical context, I guess. But excuse that context as well. I'm trying to tell you, like, trying to give a lecture here, but at the same time be like, yo man, I've seen this world. All its external conclusions come to the advanced civilization. Like there's nothing else to talk about. It's all about like we're here now. Every generation in history that will come after us, and perhaps even those present from before, right? All of them will see how advanced human beings were in 2025. And I'm like, no way, man. I gotta like legit in every moment of my life live the most advanced way. And you'll soon come to the realization the most advanced life is to acknowledge that the human being has actually limitations, but the most advanced power is doesn't, and all its attributes and divine names are limitless qualities. So as a Muslim, I'm Muslim. Like I'm not just being on like planet Earth. I'm being in the presence of a system administrative force. And the role of the human being, it kind of has two roles, but it can be done in one. And that the whole point of it is, this might be like a very advanced way to live on Earth, but it's to live as if your value system is realizing the superiority of the higher intelligence and trusting reality, trusting the higher command. This doesn't mean the language of your mind. There's like, if we're talking about power on Earth, it's pretty much ways that force moves, manifestation. And sure, like these words, I could say like my soul's commanding these words out into the moment, but at the same time, the moment itself has been commanded. They talk about like, yo man, giving commands is cool. They don't tell about, okay, following the command. What is the greatest command for the human species? I've summed it down to The system, notice the system admin, the greatest thing you can do as a being is not to just survive in the outer realms, but to notice the original power as this simulated being, and the soul is the original command. It's like how the system admin originally commanded you. And your mind, which in some sense has arose from body to mind, now has to on some level be come to terms with the that it's like your body is in a world in one server, but from that server, from the biological server, somehow something has managed to get into the psychological server. Okay, that means the mind's current advancement has occurred. Okay, and so right now we're like, okay, how advanced are human beings now? And it's honestly based on, if the moment was divided with between known and unknown variables, you're either a knownist or you're an unknownist. The unknownist walk in an unknown world towards God, and the knownist walk towards a known world towards God. And usually it's the combination of both in the human experience. But I'm saying deep down, like if I had kids, I'd be like, guys, knowledge is real. Like, don't freak out. Do you know? But when they grow up, I'm gonna be like, yo, how real is knowledge for you? Do you know? And I'll see their answers, because on some level, it's the depth of how far. Like, I don't know. I think some souls maybe. You know how I said earlier in this illuminationist context, where the spirit, which we think is mind and imagination right now, they see that as like something the soul is doing. We think that the body's movement is something the mind is doing, but the mind is something the soul is doing, actually. But what the soul is doing is that it is processing all the values. That means the soul's like, okay, what do I have access to? I have access to my current body's life. That's like a factor. I have access to all the different ways I can fathom reality. That's another factor, you know? And then I have access to all the things that I don't know. That means it's like, it's not about just having an ambition, having a dream. That dream also has to be filtered by your own superior fascination for how the moment finds the unknown. Because right now, I'm like a known being in an unknown universe, but perhaps beyond this life, we are in a completely known universe in the presence of the actual unknown. Because I don't know how to explain it to you. The system admin already knows everything. It's all knowing. Knows in all dimensions, all timelines, all possibilities. Everything that has ever happened to God has already happened. To humans, everything that has ever happened is a blur, but we have storified it. We've made it into a line. And we've preserved human archetypes for a reason. Because just like how the most advanced AI would not destroy humans, it would immediately come in a non-interfering way and polite way, just learn from human species. They're like, how did they avoid like robots taking over the world? And they're like, they programmed this original code that they have to be polite and kind. And that's the original command of the soul of the robot. And whatever the robot AI artificially simulates it constantly needs to return back to the original source code command. So my whole life has been to be like, okay, what is my original source code command? That means whose value system is going to dictate my next action. And the question is, I don't know God's value system, so I'm limited to my own value system. What is my own value system? It's all the ways I'm aware, conception, and context existing. So we're at this point in this human history where human beings are like, all right, I see it. I see how there's a linguistic simulation, and I also see how there is, beyond the linguistic simulation, the presence of a reality that moves in accordance to divine command. That means they're like, yo man, what's behind biology, we're like, okay, physics. And they're like, okay, what's behind physics? And this is something I can comment on. You know how there's electrons, protons, neutrons? You know how there's the notion of atoms? You know how there's the notion of, in some sense, forms and substance? The manifestation. That means it's not contentless. There's unique geometry all over the planet. The body, it has a destiny of its own. Your mind is aware beyond the concept of body and destiny. So you are truly the presence of an awareness deep down. And as a presence of an awareness deep down, God is the realization that the final movement of the system will not be human will. That means the apocalypse is death is the notion of the human simulation, like the soul's human simulation, kind of like ending, right? And then, but there's a question of what about that human soul? What about the idea behind who that person was, and how did that person live their life? And were they just this soul that woke up every day and was like, okay, everything's actually unknown, so but we've created something known. And I look at human civilization, I'm like, what's going to fascinate everybody? It's like, obviously what fascinates all of us is the most advanced possibility, right? They're like, yo man, should we feed like raw meat to the lions? And I'm like, no, feed the lions the greatest like the hardest challenge in reality. I want every human being on earth to wonder why we're not in an advanced civilization right now, and then realize their role in having to, anything you do, you must do it in an advanced way. Its advancement is based on the range of your awareness expanding. They're like, yo, man, when somebody reads a lot of books, are they a conqueror? Are they conquering vast fields of information quickly? Or what is the point of just being alive? Is it community? Or is it just the recognition that we have to figure out what the most advanced approach at looking at humanity is? Because the future generations are being born and they're like, guys, you don't know what you guys are. Like, how are we going to define ourselves, right? The future generations are just going to be like, yo, man, this isn't a perfect place. It's like a eureka moment. Whatever this world is, it has brought us here. We're present here. The attention moves now. It's 2025, but it's all the story. Deep down, it's unknown. Deep down, it has a system administrative force. Not only does this world have a system admin that is so beyond the system that nothing in the system can compare to it, but it has also placed moderators in reality. And some moderators lead you astray, and some moderators lead you back to the system admin. Any system that is its ultimatum is a concept is not divine. Divinity means the higher power is moving the moment. So no lower power can move and say that movement is just divinity. There's something more here, okay? It's no longer just being a human being on earth and just being comfortable and that living your life that way. Like, all senior citizens should become researchers. That should be the task. All senior, what do you call it? All senior, like, we should put the most advanced, like, research, like, all senior citizen homes should become advanced research stations. That means all the, like, excuse my language, We honor where we all go. But I'm saying it's like all the old people on the planet have become advanced researchers. That's the way. That's the way. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. And I'll end the talk here, but really look at the titles. It's all about questioning where the value to the human idea arises and understanding that it doesn't have a specific answer. It's more realizing how expansive the context is, and this pretty much we've just like you grow out of your old clothing. Similarly, your mind grows beyond the limits it has contained its isms through, or its being through. At some point in life, it's not about what you are. Like, this is, at least this is the state of consciousness I find myself currently stationed at. They're like, what's fascinating about life? And I'm like, it's strange. It's like we all know we're imperfect and we're trying to somehow continue, but we're all waiting for the system admin. We're all waiting for truth. Like, if you are truth, you don't need to wait for it. But there's so many simulated beings here as truth, and they're like, yo, man, what happens to all the living types of intelligence? Just wonder about what the most advanced state is and walk towards that and realize the most advanced power is the system admin that is unimaginable. That means the most advanced beings are unimaginable. But all conditional entities, yeah, go do whatever kind of game you want. But I'm telling you, it's all about users in the system realizing, like truly realizing they don't know where they are and realizing there's a system admin to reality. That system administrative force is pure. Like your soul feels a purity that it's as if it is aligned, it has found its divine command. Like your soul is like kind of like looking, like if your life feels just 100% as a simulation, then your soul has stopped looking for its original command. That means me as a being, like regardless of my name, identity, what I say, how this force that is being me moves now, this is a command of a higher power. The mind's any movement in the void is kind of like the command of the higher power, but our mind, which we identify at first separate to the higher power, but then we realize everything that moves is moving in an awareness that created that movement. That means if I'm not doing it, God's doing it. If God's doing it, why am I doing it? And you come to the conclusion it's about an intelligent relationship with the system admin, not an ideological one. No way think that an idea can be more magnificent than how the presence of the ultimate is in every moment. They're like, yo, man, what was behind the tiniest particle we could never see inside? Right? And the answer to that is it's the unknown, yo, relax. The unknown is the grand stage where all archetypes simulate. Who were we to ever be anything at all? The only answer to it is I'll take you through it. They call this the infinite regress fallacy. It's like us being in a world right now and we're being like, yo, man, somebody created this world. We're like, wait a minute though, who created the person who created this world? And constantly going back, who created? Eventually you come to a point where it's infinite if it's a created being that created us. So the only option is it's an uncreated power. God is a being that surpasses beyond beginnings and endings. Anyways, I guess it's the end of the talk. Thank you for listening. I mean, a round of applause for yourselves, really. I have just been fascinated by this notion of what's the most advanced state, and can we see the genius of genius before we all are no longer in this world at all. Like, there comes a time where an idea was just an idea, but then there comes a time where a moment, an energetic moment, served reality. Pretty much the idea is like, you know, make the world a better place than you found it, and then you were a smart person. Like, who would disagree with that? That's the definition of being smart. Like, they're like, if they tell me, yo, man, are you smart? I'll be like, I won't know until the last moment of my life. I won't know if I was smart or not. If I was oblivious to what is coming after, then I was not smart. But if I was conscious and I, in some sense, awaited the divine command, perhaps the moment would move differently. Because there's so many ways to look at the moment. And at some point, you're just being here. And when we wonder about the supremacy of how far can this brain, you know, advance through its inner psychological envisionment, like, just think about it. The atheist was like, sorry guys, I want to correct my answer. It's not that we don't believe God exists. We believe there is no evidence for God. We don't believe the evidence exists. That would be the sneakiest, most genius thing atheists can do. Think of it this way. A human being has a value to themselves, they have a value to others, and then you have a value in the presence of the creator of the value system. That means a part of man's life does include the unknown, the unimaginable. There should be one for power, like the eternal powerful. As a soul in this world, I have wondered about power. I have wondered about every step I take. Is it authorized or not by original divine command? But aside from that, I also see the uniqueness of my eyes. Sometimes you just wonder about what you've been given, and from deep within you comes this urge to realize that you have been like a soul traveling through various subjective selves to navigate the objectivity, only to realize the road is not only further, but at the same time, perhaps if we are to go on this great journey of the discovery of the true presence of the species, in the presence of all that there ever was, in the presence of the original causal point to the effect of assimilation that we find ourselves in. How advanced can human beings? It is now time to show reality. I firmly believe there. If somebody tells me, yo, man, as a human being, can you control animals? I'll be like, no. Do you know? I don't even see them as things as control, but no. But if, let me tell you like this. Imagine animals, sci-fi, extraterrestrials, anything, fantasy, stuff being real, and all of this, all watching the human civilization be like, in every moment, the highest value is the most advanced way the moment has happened. In order to advance civilization, We must envision a civilization that is already advanced. You right now, whoever you are, I'm not asking you to like tomorrow go and build an advanced civilization. I'm telling you, wonder every moment you're living in. If you were in an advanced civilization, what would it be like? Because we've reached that point where our minds have moved so much faster than our bodies that at this point we can totally see the ability of consciousness to extend beyond physical reality and be capable of navigating through it. The human species can successfully, not only can they successfully navigate in the inner realms, we use it in day-to-day life and communication, you know. So on some level, it's like, yo, man, are these humans being humans? Where are they being human? And what in the presence of what is the idea of human being human? And at some point, you can't avoid the system admin, because the point of it is just to know what it's like. It's not a, it's I can't even say if it's a desire. It's like they told you, yo, man. Imagine back in the day, people didn't know like other planets existed, and somebody came and said, yo, man, the newspaper said other planets existed. And the person's like, yo, man, the world's not flat. Just tripping, man. It's like, relax, he comes from afar. Truth, destiny, divinity, all of these are the will of a power that human beings can't fathom. That's like end of story ordeal. So human beings are not here being like, yo, man, what is truth made of? But we wonder about what is the meaning, the ultimate meaning and context placement to reality. That means, do I consider the idea of me is real, or do I consider the vastness of an unknown world having more of a superior value before our ancestors simulated a sort of, model to it? Everything's fascinating if you wonder about how the unknown holds the visions of advancement. Any person can solve any problem if they care to wonder about what other ways can the problem be seen. Answers will be found when the context multiplies. Not the concept can just in one context multiply and nothing can change. But all those people who have writer's block, it's like they can't. The world they've created is limited. They can't live freely in their own world of creation. Like writers when they create characters and they have writer's block and all that. Every moment is fascinating. Every moment is fascinating. Because we are in the presence of the ability of man. Like, we might not be able to say like we have an advanced civilization right now, but within our inner realms we have envisioned various types of advanced civilizations and city kingdoms in the clouds, skyscrapers in the clouds. Like we like the human species, has gone further than ideological limitation to just one context. We are a searching for deeper context kind of entity. Anyways, guys, I don't know. I hope this talk was interesting. Thank you for listening. And may God forgive me if I didn't know better. But on some level, my whole point is that like human talk, like human to human talk, we gotta find all of us an ability to notice that we're not the most superior intelligence that's deciding the movements of the world, that there is a behind the scene, higher administrative divine management force. That means how moments happen, they don't just happen because you've visualized the plan or seen something. It's about how reality is authorized to occupy or be present in space and time. And to be honest, on some level, when you even think of class systems in human psychology, it's all about like, yo, man, all archetypes are standing on one existential platform. It is just a manner of being like, okay, life force has discovered itself through its mind and awareness to its own soul that it is unknown and it has unknown capability because it has truly seen its unknown self. They're like only an egotistical, like you don't understand. Only somebody who's been thinking they're an idea can truly understand the value of the unknown. Because if reality loops, the simulation has defined you. We must constantly, as a species, wonder about what's the most advanced like thing we can do that everybody in history is like, no way, people in 2025 did that. You know, that's like what I want. You know, everybody in the future, they're like, what? People in 2025 suddenly had some sort of next level wisdom leap compared to any generation that had lived. They're like, oh no, the human species is irresponsible. You know, it's not gonna like machines are gonna like, you know, rule it. You know, and I'm looking at this like most of the time believing like it was like that, and I'm like, nah, the future generations are first ridiculously smarter, and second, they're also so smart, and they are experiencing the superiority of ego in the future generations, that they're gonna realize the smartest thing to do is to do the most advanced thing. The most advanced thing has to be the ultimate victory for every being in that moment. That means if an alien lands on Earth in a hypothetical extraterrestrial view, right? And it lands on Earth and it's like, yo, what are 8 billion advanced human beings doing in advanced civilization? It would just be fascinated that just being in the presence of us as beings, it's gonna feel like waves of advancement. Like a super saiyan species, but it's like advancement conscious, God conscious. When I say God conscious, system admin conscious beings. And then that's an advanced civilization. It's not hiding in the comfort of a world it cannot avoid. We all go forth and we all return to the system admin. That means honestly, I've been thinking about it. If my child asks me, Father, where do all souls go? And I'm like, son, there was a creator, created everything. You know, we're part of that right now. And all this creation at some point returns back to the system admin, and the system admin is a higher power. And what can I say? You were born in a world where there's greater power than me. Like, to be aware that it's not that you are just alive, the world is alive. It is not that the world is alive, the presence that powers it all is alive. The presence that powers it all is an original command. The higher power cannot be explained to the lower power, but the lower power can witness how the Lord powered actually power up. To be God conscious is to be like, okay, I'm in a system. It has a system admin. My relationship with the system admin is not just prayer, it is my conduct in its presence. That means all of you are in the presence of truth. That means, like, check this out. The soul is like a mysterious or original self, right? And then in front of our eyes, we're simulated bodies, simulated egos, and simulated, like, you know, selves. And then there's God, which is the original being administering all of it. That means we're in the middle of the originality of our soul and the originality of the system of and the original system admin. And in the middle of this, we're simulated beings, and we're like, yo, man, is this a divine universe? Yes, it is. Thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, the most advanced.